No, I got it. I'll tell you. Okay. No beer and wine. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up to the beginning of the book. I think it's 28 or 27. Actually, it's 26, I think. 23 should be in the book. Let's go one more page. Okay, there it is, 24. Perfect. Okay, so beer is living proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy, according to Benjamin Franklin, a notorious member of the Hellfire Club. So he liked alcohol and prostitutes. All right. So beer has these 4 ingredients. All beer has these 4 ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, and yeast. According to the Reigenhausen law of 1516, which is decreed by William II, that is the Bavarian purity law for beer. So in order for beer to be made the correct way, it's supposed to be made with these 4 and only these 4 ingredients. Some breweries like Coors and Budweiser get a bad rap because they use corn mash and they also use rice mash instead of the malted barley because it's a little more cost effective and they make so much beer that they can save some money doing that. But these are what most of the small local breweries stick to, and this is all the ingredients that's in beer. Although you taste all the different flavors, it's only these. So the first ingredient and the most the prolific ingredient in beer is water. Water is up to 95% of a beer's total ingredient profile, making it the main ingredient. Some breweries, like Coors, gloat about the purity of their local water source. Rocky Mountain High, Golden, Colorado. But the water does have a lot to do with how the beer tastes, since it's up to 95% of the beer's ingredient profile. Okay, so next one we got is malted barley. Barley adds color, body, and a malty sweet flavor. It also adds the natural sugar needed for the fermentation, which makes the alcohol. The next one we got is hops. Hops are a member of the cannabis family. They add flavor, provide aroma, and counterbalance barley's sweetness with bitterness. They also help preserve the beer. An IPA is a very hop-filled beer. So hops. Before they had hops, what they did is they would spice the beer, and there was actually people who had a job spicing the beer. They add like mugwort to it, cinnamon, all these different flavors. The reason they do that is because the beer would rot all the time, and they'd have to spice it in order for people to be able to drink it because it tasted bad. But then they found out about hops, and they found that hops had a preservative quality about them. So after they found hops, that pretty much eliminated that whole job for people. Like a lot of monks would do it. Like I'll give you an example. Like Friar Tuck from the Robin Hood story. All that beer he had in his thing, that's what he did. He spiced beer. That's what his job was. All right. So, but when hops came around, that pretty much eliminated that because now they didn't have to spice beer anymore because it didn't go bad because the hops would preserve the beer. When you have a beer that has good hops, you'll notice that it has after you drink it, it'll leave like a little like ring of oil around the top here, a little ring of foam, and that's actually the oil from the hops. And a good beer, you'll be able to see that on the glass. So an IPA is a very hop-filled beer. Stands for India Pale Ale. So what do British people like to drink? They like ales, right? And British is a seafaring nation. They have colonies all over the world. They have a colony in India. What do their soldiers like to drink? They like to drink ale. Problem is when they're trying to ship that ale to India, it's rotting all the time. So what they do is they stuff it with copious amounts of hops, huge amounts of hops, and that makes it so it'll last the voyage. And when it gets to India, the British soldiers can drink their ale and get drunk. All right. So the next one is yeast. Yeast is in the fungus family. Yeast eats the sweet liquids from the malted barley and creates alcohol and carbon dioxide as a side product. Yeast is a small single-celled organism. Yeast has a lot to do with how the beer tastes. Like Stone Brewery, for example, they have a very notoriously strong tasting beer, and the yeast that they use has a lot to do with that. So they have a genetic patent on their yeast. So no one else can ever use that Stone's yeast to make a beer that tastes anything like theirs. Okay, so before the science of yeast, which is Zymurgy, Z-Y-M-U-R-G-Y, and that's actually the last word of the dictionary.